everybody. My name is Craig Scott. I'm the founder and CEO of the Fuuz manufacturing platform, and I am joined here today with one of our great customers, Mr. Dennis Hodges from Inteva Products. Dennis, I'd like to hand it over to you. Give us a little bit about your background and what you do for Inteva.
Well, hello, Craig. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I've been with Inteva since the company started back in September of, well, really, we started in March of 2008. I came aboard in September of '07 as they were preparing to split off from Delphi. We're an automotive tier one that produces a variety of basically hardware, from latches, door latches, and window regulation motors to interiors for dashboards, floor, door trim, things like that. So very, it's a variety of products that basically go into most of the OEMs around the globe. We are a global company. We're in about 8 countries right now, including the U.S., Mexico, a huge presence there, and then of course China, India, and across Europe. So, like I say, I've been here for a while. It's always been an interesting challenge, and working with people like Craig and Fuuz has really enabled the company to move forward in a lot of ways.
Well, thank you for that. We didn't have to get to that right now, but we'll I appreciate that. Yeah, Dennis, we go back quite a ways. You were one of my first clients at my previous employer, actually, that I started working with. I think that's kind of how we got to know each other was, through your Plex deployments, over the years, and how we would come in and help extend and augment, fill some gaps around some different areas that you guys had going on in the business, which is kind of perfect for what I wanted to talk to you today about, because today is all about digital transformation. And you being a CIO of a relatively large company, tier one global automotive supplier, and all of the challenges and all of the business risks that you have to consider every morning when you lift your head off the pillow, right? And I want to get into a little bit about what you guys define, or what you even personally define as digital transformation. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to Inteva? Because it means a lot of things to different people. So I'm just curious from your perspective.
Well, I try to look at it from the broadest perspective possible. We are trying to transform the business. So you want to call it digital transformation, business transformation. I actually have a director over each. One of
Oh,
them, their role is basically to take the processes and things we have in place and really improve them. That's kind of our business transformation. And then our digital transformation is kind of the leapfrog perspective. I'm a big believer in Lockheed Skunk Works approach. Of course, now when you build an SR-71 as a Skunk Works, you're spending more money than we probably spend in IT, for my entire career.
yeah.
But it's but same concept. Innovate boldly, start small, show what you can do, and move forward. So, and I think digital transformation is a good way to do that. In that, if you're building a roadmap, you don't have to finish the road to know where you're going,
Right.
but you do need to know where you're going before you build the road. Is always been my approach on it. The on ramps, the off ramps can come and go as they need to, but digital transformation again is more than just digital twins on the shop floor, or
Hmm.
putting a sensor somewhere. My favorite cartoon for Internet of Things is people walking down the street and the parking meter is saying, "I'm here, don't run into me," because everybody's walking around their face in their cell phones these days. So the industrial Internet of Things is a little bit more advanced than just that. But there are some places we're still thinking about putting something out there when you walk through the door. Say, please remember to put your safety glasses on.
Yeah.
Because people tend to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. People's minds these days can be easily distracted by all the shiny objects, right? Yeah, all
Definitely.
the moving things. So yeah, I really appreciate and I guess admire your perspective on digital transformation, because I think a lot of the buzzwords and acronyms that you just mentioned are typically what distract people from what it truly is or should be, right? It really is a transformation of the business. It's not just the shop floor, it's everything.
Right.
It's, it starts with the
Yeah.
CEO all the way down to the janitor, right? And everything in between. And that's really how we've been able to develop our relationship with you over the years. Is we didn't even start on the shop floor. We started just helping with some different line of business applications that you guys needed some support with, and automating and streamlining some of those business processes, which can really lead to some major efficiencies, right, for the company. So
Huge.
a little bit about that. I mean, just going back to 2007, 2008, when you joined Inteva, you've been through a lot of transformation, right? You've been through ERP deployments and MES developments and deployments, and just, I don't even know the full scope of everything, but I know you have a pretty good sized team. So, what are some of the bigger milestone projects that you feel like you guys have accomplished as an organization in the past almost 20 years?
Yeah. Well, I think the first one, everybody says, when did you go to the cloud? Well, our ERP system was a SaaS model when we started. When we spun off of what we had before, anyway,
Hmm.
we were on a legacy SAP environment that was actually owned and managed by our previous owner. And they made it very clear we were not going to be on their system more than 12 months.
Hmm.
So that was pretty quick timing to either replace it or replace it or totally renew it, which we made the decision to replace it. It was a fairly antiquated implementation. I won't say SAP is antiquated, but the way they did it was, and that's always the devil's in the detail when it comes to systems implementation. You can use the same product and shine, or totally, needs a more than a car wax to bring it around. So maybe demolition is needed at some places. But so we went with Plex, which is another ERP system, and a lot of our focus was at the plant, but that interface between the functions in corporate or wherever you want to call it, and the shop floor. The system that we were burdened with when we started really had no way to do inventory relief. So once a week, every 7 days, I think it was on a Wednesday, they would run a back flush, which was basically, show everything that had been used that week and what they thought they needed to order for the next week, which may or may not be accurate. So they ordered a little bit of everything. So our working capital was through the roof, and our warehouses were the roofs were raised,
Yeah.
basically to be able to hold everything. That was one of the first things we knew we had to attack. Digital transformation, reducing working capital by lowering inventory. It sounds very appealing and sexy from a industry 4.0 or whatever perspective, but that's what the company needed.
Yeah.
MES and integration with the ERP. So what we've tried to do, because I've got next year I'll have 40 years in IT personally. So I started out as a programmer. I still like programmers, but I try not to have our company do any programming
Uh-huh.
because it's you lock yourself in and you end up with one-off solutions that are hard to reuse or resurface anywhere else. So um, we do some coding, and we tend to focus on that. Where is someone not delivering for us?
Mm.
The ERP was one thing. MES, we needed something to tie those two together to at a very cost effective way to improve processes and to have visibility on the shop floor. OEE, the different metrics in the plant, first time quality, things like that is what we display now um, through basically Raspberry Pis attached to television
Yeah.
screens. That was the cheapest way to do it at the time. Now there's other ways to do it, but little things like that. We now have a training certification system so that the operator walks up to a piece of equipment and badges in. If they're not trained on that equipment, it will show, either red, yellow, or green where they stand, and the supervisor can come over and help them. The first one I was on, we asked the line to show us who was certified for a piece of equipment. 15 minutes later, they found the piece of paper with about 40 names that had been scratched off, and there
Mm,
were two at the bottom that were still active. This is not the way to
no.
do this. Try to get an OEM to come in and say, yeah, this is how we prove that our
Hmm.
operators were certified. We don't even know who was online at the time.
Yeah.
Well, now we do that. And one of those OEMs came into our facility and said, where did you buy this software? And we said, well, we didn't buy it, we wrote it. And they said, that's the best we've ever seen for this. So, that was a really nice positive moment for our team
Yeah.
to hear them say that to our operations management who brought it back and said, wow, they said good things about you, which, in corporate IT, you hear good things of what you're doing every day and no one ever complains, right? I mean, that's,
No.
that's yeah, the way it
Yeah.
works.
100% of the time. Absolutely. Um, yeah, no, it's funny because, I've done a couple other podcasts in the past, and a lot of these topics, we talk about the all-in-one, right? ERP with MES functionality. We've talked about customized, custom-built software, point solutions. I mean, you have just done the whole circle on me right here, right? You have the ERP with some manufacturing capabilities, but you have a custom built MES. You have this other custom solution for the operator certification. So, I mean, you guys are like the epitome of what we look for in a client for Fuuz, right? Because that's exactly what we're trying to do is mitigate those risks and give you guys a tool set that can do all of those things for you, but it's not custom software. It's a commercial application with guardrails so that you guys can go through this business transformation journey and operations is still getting what they want. And I think what you said about the OEM customer coming through really resonates because I was previously in manufacturing for 20 years as an operations manager, and no customer ever came through my plant asking to see my ERP system. They always wanted to look at what I was doing on the
Right.
shop floor, right? Nobody wants to look at how I'm doing journal entries or how I'm processing a purchase order. They want to know, what are you doing on the shop floor to protect me, my customers, my products, and the quality and delivery to my factory, right?
Show
So
me
that
traceability, show me the other. Right. Exactly.
show me all of that stuff, like, so it's funny because in another discussion I was having with one of our partners, and we were talking about, man, just how much emphasis gets placed on ERP deployments from an enterprise perspective versus MES and some of the other technology, but you're making money on the shop floor, right? And like, you only exist because of those products that you make and those customers that you have, and that's what they're focused on. And it seems like I'm starting to see a little bit more of a shift, not with you guys, but just in general. Manufacturing companies are starting to realize that we need to invest in this technology on the shop floor. And I've been, I'd say, fortunate to be able to walk through a couple of your facilities, and the amount of automation and controls that you guys have is, not everybody can have that. That's, not unique to you, but it's certainly not what everybody can have. But the amount of investment in capital that manufacturers will make into a piece of equipment, but then fail to make the investment in the technology to run it and do the operator certifications and all the stuff you talked about is just it's kind of fascinating, I guess, right? It's like you bought a Ferrari, but you forgot to get the race car driver, so you got the car and you got the set of keys sitting here, but that middle piece,
Nobody
right?
has a driver's license. Yeah.
Yeah, you need the driver's license, which is, like the MES, I think, in this
Right.
standpoint, right?
My
Um,
take on that is my motto is we make beans, then count them.
yeah. Oh, that's very
We don't
true.
be counting beans.
Yeah, there's no beans to count if you can't make them first. So
Right.
that's kind of an interesting take on that too. I'll probably borrow that if I can. Um,
Okay.
so that's very interesting, and all your points on business transformation, digital transformation. You pointed out a couple things. You've got directors that work for you that specifically a business transformation and a digital transformation also something that not everybody can have. But can you tell me a little bit more? Like, how did you get to that point where, as a business, you came to the conclusion that these are going to be valuable roles for the business going forward? Were there certain drivers for that, or was it just organic and just happened?
Well, it was somewhat organic, but it was also calls from the business. One call was, we really have to improve our processes. We know IT doesn't own them, but IT is a great place to house them and to help us have a central point of focus. So that's where that came from. That was from our CEO. Uh, one of our, in particular, one of our executives, and with the following host of fast followers, I'll say we have a couple of bleeding edge people and some fast followers, and then we have the slow adopters, and then we have what I call, there's digital natives, there's also digital Neanderthals, and there are a few of those in our industry as well, but the one that was bleeding edge is actually our chief commercial officer. So he's got sales, he's got program management. He's looking at, how does he globalize his part of the business, where we've done that in IT already. But what can we do to take advantage of the technologies out there, AI, you name it? And I said, okay, we'll make a deal. I'll pay the person. They're going to work for you for the next couple of years. And after a year now, we are implementing a contract management analysis tool. One of our OEMs says we have 14,500 contracts with them.
Ouch.
Uh, Multiples for parts. New one comes out 1,000 at a time, let's say. How do you analyze that to know what the difference is between the last one and the current
Yeah.
one? And there's always some changes in terms and conditions they're trying to, I won't say sneak in there, because there might be one of our customers listening, but you get the message there.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
so to go out there, analyze what the difference is, and just quickly bring it up. That group's saying that's 80% of their workload is doing
Wow.
that analysis. That has been reduced, not to get rid of those 80% of them, so they can do 160 or
Yeah.
whatever percent more uh,
More value
contracts.
added
We'll have even more
activities.
contracts. Yes,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
value added activity.
Yeah.
So
So business process automation, orchestration, helping the worker not focus so much on the tedious, monotonous tasks that we
yes,
typically find ourselves having to do, right? Leveraging technology. So that's all business transformation, digital transformation, whatever industry 4.0, whatever term you want to use, right?
exactly.
It's all
Yes.
under that umbrella. So that's pretty great. So it sounds like the CEO played a major role in pushing the organization forward, as well as others, obviously. But pushing forward and kind of resisting the norm. Let's look at things
Yeah.
that we're doing. Let's see what we can do to optimize and become more efficient. So, do you feel that executive sponsorship is a key driver in the success that you guys have had as an organization?
I I am not a salesperson. What I like to do is find, again, back to the skunk works, something small, show how it works, and get one of the executives or one of their people to sell it to them or the rest of the organization.
Mhm.
Because when the operations VP says, this is working for operations, rather than the IT guy saying, we're from corporate IT and we're here to help operations, it's amazing the difference in what people hear.
Yeah.
So if I can get him on board or his team on board, or it's the chief commercial officer, yeah, it's basically, the checks are never blank in our industry,
No.
but it's like they'll double them compared to what our IT budget's larger than it was
Yeah. Yeah.
because of digital transformation, and I think the value people are seeing in it. You know,
Okay. All
so
right.
which makes it more challenging. I mean, the day is, you know, there are 24-hour day plants that have 3 shifts of IT support now at the site. Uh, Corporate helping them. So anything we can do to simplify all that, and that's
Mhm.
where our relationship with Fuuz has really been a good thing for us and what we're trying to impress even more is I don't want to write those custom
No.
applications. I'd rather have somebody do that, and we do configuration, not
Mhm.
customization.
That was what I was kind of thinking about there too, was just the, cloud native, having that cloud footprint and eliminating all of those infrastructure concerns and challenges and letting the team focus on solving the business challenges
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and continuing that, not getting a call in the middle of the night that our SQL server shut down. you know, like all these,
Yeah.
just
Right.
things that you don't want to worry about as a manufacturer. You have to, especially, you guys are fairly advanced in terms of what you have implemented at the plant. You have what I would consider a pretty headless MES solution. It seems to be very automated and it's extremely integrated, and it's been done
Mhm.
very well. It controls the process. The process doesn't control it,
Mhm.
and really, you walk out there and you don't see a lot of. I don't see a lot of screens with pictures and work instructions and paper everywhere, and nobody's having to write things down because the system is tracking it for you. It's creating all the traceability. It's doing all these things. It's not releasing the part from the tool unless all the validation has passed. That's really way I look at the future of MES. Is I don't want to have terminals and kiosks and
Right.
5,000 label printers, right? I mean, some of these solutions out there, that's the only way they can do it. But having that
Mhm.
shop floor ability to connect to the industrial equipment is pretty huge. And I would
Yeah.
imagine you must have that must be a strategic advantage for you guys, in the business that you're in. I don't know that all of your competitors have that degree. In fact, I know they don't. I can say that
Yeah.
I I know they don't all have that level of sophistication, right? So just from a labor efficiency and utilization standpoint, a machine efficiency and utilization, you're not standing around waiting for things because everything is so tightly integrated and controlled. It's really a cool thing to see. Um,
Yeah, and it really has changed a lot since we started. The VP of operations and I actually started the same day,
wow.
and we have worked together since then. And as far as adding technology, you know, he wants to add it when it adds value. It's got to
Mhm.
show me the value. He's not from Missouri, but he seems like he is. Show me. Don't talk to me about it, because for some reason, not everybody's enamored when IT comes in the room and starts talking
No,
about what they can do. So
no,
my view's the same. I try to be a man of few words, but much more action. So
yeah.
that works better with him. So, but there's some things like in our back office that have really been enabled. Um, we, along with those contracts that get dumped on us, we get a lot of price changes get
Hmm.
dumped on us, and the retroactive pricing was a monster. It took months to do it manually, and that's one thing we've worked with you guys on is to you know to make that more of an automated system. And it's interesting, the team that actually does it, they were in some ways uh, some of the bigger challenge because it was so different from
Hmm.
the way they had to do it. It's almost like the guy or the gal that's sitting there on the side of the road when the cart with square wheels goes by, and he says, "Can you look at this? This is a round wheel." I'm sorry, we're too busy to try anything new.
Hmm.
So, but as they put that round wheel on there, it's been amazing. Now they're more willing. That's the same group that's looking at this contract management system.
Yeah.
So that it's show me more, show me more.
Yep.
Getting them addicted to technology almost. So, but and our big business area is manufacturing and engineering.
Hmm.
Designing the product or making sure that we match some build to print from the OEM, and so the ability to integrate with our PLM system, which again you guys did that for us, has been huge. In that we were dumping Excel spreadsheets out of Siemens Team Center, and then basically importing them into Plex. And oh well, you had to re-enter manually half of it. So
Hmm.
you know everybody hated the process. And as we've been able to change that, with you guys, um, it's really improved that process, improved the accuracy of the data, so that now data comes in from one system still should be manually entered. One of our engineering chief engineers from years ago said that really there were 6 or 7 different bombs, bill of materials, engineering costed, and he said some of those were transitory because it was just enough to get it from one system to the next, and then they had to go back and re-enter it from there anyway. So, you know, that has to stop.
Wow.
Manual entry and error prone. Uh, with ADD in the world these days, you
Hmm.
can't expect anybody to sit there for an hour and just enter data anymore.
Yeah. No, getting the right information entered once and getting it where it needs to go timely and accurately is the name of the game, right? Otherwise, you can't scale as a business.
No, you can't.
You're just going to trip over yourselves. And yeah,
Yeah.
those were interesting and challenging projects. I remember all of them well, and not things that most companies can go out there. You can't just Google search for a retro pricing application, right?
Correct.
It can be pretty unique to your business and your model, and those are just some of the things that you guys were able to leverage our platform to do, which
Yeah.
is which is great. So now they're there, and you've gained all these efficiencies from it, right? So, we're probably not charging you enough for the software to match the same. I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, I mean that's great.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm
I'm having a
I'm
number of
hearing
technical
I'm
problems. I
hearing
didn't hear
things.
that.
I'm hearing things over here. No, I appreciated
Yeah.
that. You guys are in such a unique position, having modern stack at your disposal. You have Fuuz, you've got Team Center, you've got cloud-based ERP. You have all of these things. Not everybody has access to. Not every company has access to someone like yourself with 40 years in IT, right? And your VP of operations with probably similar level of experience. So I think one thing that might be interesting is there any advice that you might give to someone that doesn't have access to all, like where would you focus your efforts on? If you did a rear view mirror retrospective, I'm sure you guys made all the right moves at all the right times, right? But if you had to focus your efforts on this business transformation, is there any one place over another?
I think it really is talking to the executive leadership and listening actively, not
Hmm.
just, taking a transcript of what they say, but being able to go back and say, because either you bring the technological ideas and some of the, I was fortunate to have some business background as well. But if you just have the technology perspective, find somebody that can help you with that translation because you need translate.
Hmm.
I'm a switchboard operator. I'm a,
Hmm.
no, I'm a fairly well paid switchboard operator. I'll say,
Right.
that my job is to connect a person and a problem to a person and a solution. And if you look at it from that perspective, don't go in with the solution because they won't tell you what the problem is. That's almost as bad as the VP being on the plane. Well, unfortunately, nobody's on a plane as much anymore, and there's
Hmm.
no in-flight magazines. It's all
Yeah.
digital
Yeah.
now. But they would read about the greatest thing that's ever happened in that in-flight magazine, and I could tell when somebody was on a long flight because they had 3 or 4 ideas they came up with out of that in-flight. So I subscribed to all the in-flight magazines, so I would
Hmm.
know what they were going to ask about. But
Yep.
it's that really is it, is having people that can translate either yourself or someone that to help you, that start looking for those people in the business that they're not IT people necessarily, but they have a more of a systematic perspective. A good one's
Hmm.
auditor. Get auditors in on projects early because they will tell you what you can't do. And that was one of the biggest lessons I had early on was friend of mine ran a project. They got the auditors in at the end, and they just shredded it. Everything they did was wrong. So I went to the audit manager and said, "Look, I'd like one of your people to be on this project from the beginning." And at first, he didn't want to do it. He says, "No, that's not our job. Our job is to come in and find out what's wrong." I said, "But look at this one. You looked bad. IT looked horrible." And I said, "I think we can both look better if we have someone from your end so we understand what you're trying to accomplish, and I'll learn from you. So the next
Mhm.
project, you won't have to have somebody on it."
Yeah.
And reluctantly, they agreed. And when it was over, he ended up hiring me to work for him as a when we were running a big, huge SAP project back then. So I think again, don't just think about it with your. If you have one toolbox, set that one aside and start thinking about, don't even bring a toolbox with you to the meeting.
Yeah.
Just bring your ears and bring active listening. And one of the greatest advice there is, we have two ears and one mouth for a good reason, which is we should listen twice as much as we talk.
Yeah.
So,
That's yeah. That's true. Yeah. So IT doesn't own it. OT doesn't own it. Executives don't own. Everybody has to own it together, right? And you have
yeah,
to have what sounds like people with enough technical knowledge and expertise to help solve the problem, but people with enough business knowledge to help articulate what the problem actually is.
yes, yes,
So I think that's where a lot of companies may be going wrong, right? They assign this digital transformation to the OT team, and
hmm
they get it from one perspective, right? Or IT, and they think it's an IT project. And, it really is like to what you said earlier, it's a business transformation, not just a digital transformation, and make sure the whole business is involved. So I love that approach. I think that's perfect.
yeah, I think so.
So, wow, that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know you're super busy. Probably got a golf course to be on somewhere, right?
I wish.
Uh,
I wish.
we,
The season is ending up here in Michigan, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That season is coming abruptly to an end, but next week will be beautiful. So hopefully we can make something happen. But thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of great insights there. So thanks
Thanks.
again.
Enjoyed it as always. Great
All
talking
right.
to you again.